Isabel asks, what's your thought process for where you draw the line when it comes to facing it or pushing it in terms of light and dark? How do you choose what is best for you? You know, I think that I err on the side of light. And I think that's one reason why people are really stirred up sometimes by the stance I take. Because I really have been practicing amplifying joy, finding the happiness. And actually, it's not like I invented this path. Abraham, of the the I'm blanking, but the channel Abraham, their whole philosophy is follow. If it makes you happy, do it. Follow the path towards your joy. Follow the path towards your happiness. That is how you know what's up. And I believe that to be the case too. Not just personally, but for the world. And so I err on the side of avoiding dark things, or trying to frame a dark thing in a light way. And maybe, I'm not thinking of an example right now, but yeah, that's... and so in some ways, the fact that there are people who embrace so much darkness is what gives me the freedom to spend energy with the light. Kind of like the fact that we have a military allows a pacifist to be much more vocal. There's a interesting balance in ideologies that can happen in those places. Baxter says, kind of worth remembering that estrogen and testosterone exist together in every single human body on the planet. And it's that balance that, good point. If you don't have a feminine side, you're not human. Well said. And, I love the distinction in, yin-yang, masculine, feminine, that masculine and feminine is not always male-female. Masculine and feminine energies and traits are, the balance of those is what makes us complete and whole. And any sort of skew too much towards one or the other gives us a fractional, distorted, and weaker experience of the world, I think. That isn't to say that it's not okay to be leaning one way or the other, but to deny one side because you're afraid of being female. No, feminine, masculine. Embracing the feminine side doesn't change, your maleness. Along the lines of your original question, Isabella, about facing the darkness, I also think that there's, I don't think there's any shortage of reminders that the world is full of suffering. So I don't think it's very possible even to live in a bubble unless you move to a farm or something like that. And even then, I think that one of the reasons why you move to a farm, just in general, is to try to say, look, I want to spend all of my energy tending to this vibration that I want to cultivate, just like the plants that I'm cultivating. I want to cultivate this style of living and vibration. And part of doing that is focusing on it with all I've got. And so I'm actively choosing not to focus on another type of suffering. And so I think that's a perfectly valid way to live. I don't think that is putting your head in the sand. I think that is taking your role in a very specific direction. I kind of view all of the people in the world. Here's my belief. My belief is that if we all surrender to where we are drawn to go and do and be, we can all follow our bliss, and nothing will be left undone. It's not like, oh, we're all going to leave the starving people, because some people are drawn to a place of bliss that is aiding in those dark places, in the same way that you know, First Saturdays does, in the same way that I mentioned that guy who does hospice, or the same way that some people work for, you know, injured animals. They are able, that is their bliss. It's not always, you know, happy, but it is a blissful path for them. And so I think that if everybody could surrender into that role, we would have functionality and a harmony in the same way that the body does. It's not like, you know, if we have an infection in our hand, it does no good for my feet or my organs to spend any energy trying to fix that hand. There are plenty of cells that are attentive to that hand. Those rest of the cells are trying to make other parts of the system thrive. Now, every once in a while checking in and saying, do we need to divert resources? You know, like, as the body does sometimes. You know, sometimes, you know, if you're freezing cold, you take resources from something else to heat the body up. Or, you know, when you have a sickness someplace, you know, that there's other things that you divert resources. And I think that we need to do that the same way as a culture. I guess the decision is, are things so bad that we need to set down what our calling is to go in the direction of what we think is the horrific thing? And I'm of the mind that as horrible as the world is, we have a yin-yang balance of some sort, and there is nothing wrong with it. Even with as the pain and suffering that is here.